Every time God wants to show His love, His favor, He uses a family. I want you to hear this. Every time God wanted to show His love throughout generation, He used a family. Do you think the church has really become this mechanical organization and God's happy with it? See, I'm hearing the same thing I believe. There's a point of it that is fantastic. But this is the point that has happened in America. Because we can't keep growing to a certain point, and the world believes that if you don't grow between 5 and 10% in business every year, that you're not doing something. That, because of things, and I promise you, I've been a part of it. I was trained in it. I pastored with you guys. Some of y'all were with us in a mega church. We ran hundreds and thousands of students. And it came down to this very thing. If you don't get bigger and better, we're going to change it. Well, I'll do one better. I'll change it before you do. Because the Lord's calling me a different direction anyway. And here's what my prayer was, and it came off of another prayer. No one gets my family. Let me say it again to you, because this is the mantra every man should have. No one gets my family. The first year Dean and I were married, 1991. Thanksgiving. We stayed at her grandparents' place. And I got to tell you, they were born around, he was born like 1919. She was born in 1928. He was a World War II hero. His chest full of medals, 36 medals. He could cover his full chest with medals. 5 Bronze Stars, 3 Purple Hearts, Bronze Stars with clusters. He did amphibious landings, as well as they were the first ones to find the Lufthansa jets. His battalion found the Quonset hut, 141st, look it up. 141st was the ones who went into the Wolf Lair and defeated Hitler. He was a part of the 141st. Brave man. He was shot in the midsection, he was shot in the heart, and he was shot through the mouth. And here's what his prayer was in 1991 at 6 a.m. in the morning. Right outside the next room over. God, I pray. He wasn't quiet. It was a wood floor. He's up on his knees, praying on his bed. God, I pray for my family. No one gets my family. And he started praying for us by name. I happened to get up that morning because I'm an early riser, and I'm thinking, I got to be quiet, get in there and get some coffee. His bedroom straight off the kitchen. And he's praying, no one gets my family. This is a pawpaw. His name was Pawpaw. I didn't know him by Floyd because Floyd was, the adult name, and I was not an adult at that time. I might have been 21, but I wasn't a part. I barely got to sit at the adult table at Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Only because of attrition did I get to move up. But he prayed that. See, society has taken June and they have tried to demoralize it the last 15 years and tear it apart. And what are they aiming at in family? They're aiming at dismantling you. That's the whole process. If Satan can dismantle you, he can destroy the next generation. Everything that we fought for, everything we worked for, everything we want to see in our own lives can be dismantled. And for me, I'd already come through dismantling of my family. By the time Dean and I got married, I was getting to see another family who was not dismantled. Oh, they had their difficulties, just like anybody does, but they weren't dismantled. Grandparents married for 50 plus years by the time, almost 63 or 4 years by the time she finally passes away. Her mom and dad married, when they say till death do us part, he passed away a couple years ago. And they were married at that point 42 years. I had to think. They're 10 years ahead of us. 20 years ahead of us. I don't know why I said 10. Good Lord. Thank you, Dina. I'm so glad you're sitting right there. She's like, that's not correct. We're 20 years ahead of our kids. She's 20. And here's the thing that's amazing. Families that haven't been dismantled. I'm not talking about passing away. I'm talking about dismantled. I'm talking about destroyed from inside out. I'm talking about tore apart. See, I came from a family that wound up getting tore apart and dismantled, and it was very difficult. Exodus chapter 2, if you got your Bibles, always remember to carry a Bible. You know why? That electronic one's great, but it's a distractor. Here's what happens. You pull it out and you go, Exodus chapter 2. Gotcha. Oh, look who texted me. You see what I'm saying? Exodus chapter 2. The Lord told me when I was in Kenya, hey, speak on Moses for the first part of the month, or at least until I tell you different. Chapter 2. Chapter 1 tells a story of what was happening. All 12 tribes have moved from Canaan to, because it wasn't Israel yet, from Canaan to Egypt. They made that 2-week trek. That's all it is, 2-week walk. And they're in Egypt now. Every tribe, Gad, Simeon, Dan, Manasseh, on and on and on. And Joseph's 2 boys, because that's how it names it. It names his 2 boys, because 2 of them were removed because of their foolishness. All of them are there, and here's what happened. A Pharaoh comes along, a leader comes along, and he does not know the promises of Joseph and Pharaoh. Does that sound like America? Do you know that our forefathers made promises to God that we have not lived up to? They made promises to God. And because of this, they look around and he says, I tell you what, they got the prettiest land. Goshen was the prettiest land. It'd be like saying, and I don't know if you like Florida, but like Florida. I don't know if you've been to Florida. It's beautiful. Or Hawaii. In a very desolate area, this is a gorgeous area. God gave that to them. And here's the amazing thing. They were multiplying there. Not just them, but their cattle and their sheep and everything they had was getting better and better and better. And he said, how are we going to fix this? Oh, I got a great idea. We'll make them servants to do stuff for us. And he put them in slavery. By the way, they were already in slavery, but he increased it. He said, well, you make bricks? Well, we'll take the hay away. So you can't make bricks with hay. I mean, you know the process with Moses. But here's the process, he said. The only way to get rid of them really is to kill off all their male children. I was 4 years old when the decree went across America. This was a promise to our forefathers, to God, that got smashed. And then it's been reset in the last 2 years. And that is Roe versus Wade. How many people do you think have been taken in war in America since the Revolution? Since the Revolution, who fought in battle, who lost their lives in war? I looked it up on purpose. 1.1 million. That's Vietnam. That's World War II. That's the Civil War. That's World War I. That's Korea. That's all of it. 1.1 million. How many children have we aborted in 50 years? 63 million plus and counting. 60 times worse than war. What do you think the enemy's still trying to do? Kill the family. Kill the family. John 10, kill the family. Kill the family. You can't have my family, is what my grandfather, Dina's pawpaw prayed. You can't have my family. Let me read to you what he said to them. He says in chapter 1, verse 15, Then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives. Who's a midwife? It's the gal who helps them in delivery. Of whom the name of one was Siphrah, and the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when you do your duties as a midwife, and the Hebrew women see them on their birth stool. It was when they're giving birth, and this was literally a word or a term, birth stool. When they're giving birth, if it's a son, kill him. Whoops, I dropped him. Whoops, how easy would it be at this position, because the men weren't allowed in there and the other women weren't allowed in there except the midwives and her, how easy would it have been to take the umbilical cord and pull it and strangle the child? Grotesque, wouldn't it be? That's what he is telling them you have to do. And they said, okay. And he said, but if it's a girl, let her be born. Why? Because they can go into slavery, they can go to sex trade, they can become servants, and we can interbreed them for something else and destroy this. Look at chapter 2. And a man of the house of Levi. Who were the Levites? They weren't the priest yet. They were sons of Jacob or Israel. They weren't the priest yet. They were going to be, though. What were they representing? Christ. Christ. This represents Christ, guys. This represents Christ. Look what it says. Went out and took him a wife of the same daughter of Levi, another family member. Further down the line, though, it wasn't just cousins. This is in Arkansas. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And she saw that he was a beautiful child. She hid him for 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took an ark of bulrushes for him, dabbed it with asphalt and pitch, put the child in it, and laid him in the reeds of the river. And the sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. Now, it almost looks like, if you look at this, it almost looks like dad is removed. He's not. Dad and mom set a plan out. This wasn't mom's plan. This was dad and mom's plan. If they knew he was a Levite, they would have took him instantly. They would have done everything they could do instantly. So dad is quietly taking care of things, making sure things are done, making sure everything's aligned. And mom takes and slides him in the water, in the reeds, where he won't float off down the Nile, and he'll stay there. And you know the story. Pharaoh's daughter was bathing with her entourage, and they said, hey, looky here. You hear that cry? Where is that coming from? And they went over to the reeds and opened them up and found Moses. Do you know what Moses' name means by any chance? It means to come out. That's what his name means. To come out. Not only coming out of the reeds, coming out of the ark, but to take his people out. No one gets my family. You know what Satan's greatest ideal is? His greatest number one goal is to kill off the seed of every man. Now watch this. We're in a month where people are praising the wrong things because they've been lied to. Yeah, I don't care what you think about them. There's a soul inside of them, and every one of them can be redeemed. They've been lied to. You ever been lied to before? You ever believed something that wasn't true, and later you found out it was different, and you go, wow, they've been lied to. And that's why they believe that. Who lied to them? Satan. Romans chapter 1 tells the whole story. It tells the whole story. It's not a brand new thing. So you and I have to reinsert the right things, which is the truth. Man's a man, a woman's a woman, and they create the family. Now I'm going to be careful how I say this. I said it a little yesterday, and I'm being recorded, so I'm going to be very careful how I say this. Dean and I had a young girl who is a very, very pretty young girl ask me particularly, do you have a problem with IVFs? If you know what IVFs are, it's insemination, intravaginal insemination, fertilization. And I said, oh, are you and your husband not going to be able to have children? It's my first plot. Do you remember Ron Campbell last week said that his kids were going to do that? And he said, nope, I'm going to prophesy over you. And he did, and they just had a baby 8 weeks ago. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I don't want to go through that husband thing. Complicated, isn't it? You should see it through our eyes. Complicated, being married. I've never seen one work, is what she told us. And she wasn't being rude, she was just sharing it. I've never seen one work. I said, well, you're looking at one that works. You're looking, what is Satan after? He's after the seed. Why? Because he knows that the seed of man, if he knows the seed of God continues, it destroys his plan. He's interested in destroying the Lord's plan. Genesis chapter 1 verse 12 says, that seed bears according to its kind. When I look at y'all's children, I see your seed. We had a family in our church years ago. They were very affluent, but Dad and Grandpa were all in oil, and you could seed it down. And then Grandpa wound up becoming a missionary. He was a big man, had the big old hands, but they were the softest hands. And you shake his hand, and you're like, wow, it's kind of like butter. It's just, it's just soft. His boys looked just like him. Their sons looked just like their dads, like their grandpa. Their sons looked, I was the youth pastor, and I had the grandsons. Oh, I had the great-grandsons in my group, because the grandfather was in his 80s. And I said, when you've seen one of these guys, you've seen them all. Why? Seed bears after its own kind. And there's such a dominant seed there. It's amazing. Satan's after the seed. Why? Because if he can kill the seed, he will never see the man. There is a real hard push to change this in America, thank God. And how did that come about? You standing in the way, you praying, you saying, we will not allow this to take place. That's how it happened. We stood in the way. Now watch this. Exodus chapter 1, verse 16, the birthing stool is the same as Jeremiah 18. So just mark in your book there, Jeremiah 18. Because this is the same word that's used. It's not birthing stool, it's potter's wheel. Jeremiah calling out to God, saying, God, show me what you're going to do. I need to share, but I need to know personally, because they were fixing to go into exile for 70 years. And he's giving words of prophecy, and God says, you go down to the potter's house, and as he works, listen to what I say. This is how God works on a regular basis for you men. As he's doing something, hear what I'm saying. You know why? Because most men don't learn by textbook. They learn by watching and then doing. Luke and Acts both say, these are all the things Jesus did and then spoke. You watch a How did you learn to do that to your car? How did you learn to change a tire? Well, my dad said, you're not going to get a drive unless you change a tire. So I said, well, I don't know how. He said, let me show you. Men particularly learn by watching others. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. We normally don't get it right the first time either. He says, go down and watch that. So he watches the potter, and the potter's spinning that, and he looks and he sees the clay is marred. Talking about us, talking about Israel, talking about life. Have you had anything that got dismantled in your life? Yeah, few things. Now watch this. As the wheel is spinning, he pushes it down and he restarts it. I want you to see something very important. God never takes his hands off. First thing is, Satan wants to destroy the seed. The second thing is, God never takes his hands off. Do you think you can get away from God? You're still breathing, aren't you? I had a kid years ago come down, and I said, what can I pray for you about? He goes, hey, you know that unforgivable sin? I said, blasphemy the Holy Spirit? He goes, I don't think I've done that, but I've done everything else. So I asked the question, what did you want me to pray for? He goes, I need to know the Lord brand new. This is the only sin I can think of that I haven't committed. And then I had another person come down and said, I think I've committed every sin and the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. I said, no, you haven't. I can guarantee you haven't done that one. He goes, why? I said, because you'd be dead. If there's no purpose for you here, there's no reason for God to keep you here. And you don't get to call yourself here, God does. Therefore, when you leave, God's called you out of it, or you foolishly said, I'll finish it. One of the two. He goes down and he looks and he remakes it, and God says, can I not do this with you? Now watch this, watch this. The birthing stool being born, made, and being made like clay are the same words. God has made you, and he has not taken his hands off of you. The clay was marred. He remakes it into something different than what it started out as. Why? Because it was marred. It was marred. No one gets my family. Even if it's been broken, it can be rebuilt. You need to hear that, Dad. You need to hear that, Father. You need to hear that, man. You need to hear that, Mom. God never takes his hands off. I promise you. Number 3, men are the bullseye. Women become bullseyes when the men don't step up. But the men are the bullseye. You are the shield. You're the priest of the home. You're the co-heir. You're the Christ. Ephesians 5 says you're the Christ to your family. Romans chapter 8 says you're the co-heir with Christ. Isaiah says you're the shield. Hebrews says you're the priest. See, all these things are put on you. Believe it or not, and I know some gals don't believe this too much, but guys are thinking about things all the time. I know some of you ladies probably don't believe that. They are lost in space. And we do a lot of marriage training, and guys categorize things. We used to say it like this: guys' brains are like waffles. You can pour a little syrup on this side, and you can pour it on this side, and they never touch. So guys can talk about family and mechanics and politics, and not one of them relate to each other. Girls are not that way. Women are just not that way. Everything touches everything. They're the person in the back seat saying, they're touching me. That was Rory. Yesterday, they're touching me. Those two boys. Yes, they are. I love it. I got a lesson from Rory this morning. Rory said, Papa, that's wasteful. She's talking about, I got them donuts. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome to kids ministry. They're all cranked up. You're welcome. Because Dina comes in about 6 o'clock. She goes, you want breakfast or they want donuts? I said, I want breakfast. I want eggs and bacon. I could care less about a donut. I just won't eat it. And I'll get some coffee and that'll be it. And she said, well, the kids want donuts. I said, well, we're at Papa's house. And if Gigi wants me to buy donuts, I'll buy donuts. Let's buy something really good. Cream filled. Ugh. So they didn't eat everything. And Rory goes, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm throwing that away. Y'all took about one bite out of all of it. And then she goes, that's wasteful. You want me to save it for later? Well, she's heard this. How do you learn this stuff? That's wasteful. I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much money did you spend, Rory, this morning? She goes, oh, I didn't buy it. I said, then it's not wasteful, is it? She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, how much do we have left over? I said, I bought it in supply, so I got like a donut left for every one of you. She goes, yeah. I said, we're only throwing away parts of things. She goes, that's correct. And I said, you didn't pay for it. She goes, well, that's true. So how is it wasteful to you? It's not. I've saved the majority and thrown the minority away. Yeah, that's way too much information at 7:30 in the morning, isn't it? Welcome to Papa's house. Don't tell me I'm wasteful. I'm disposing of something that I don't need. And I sure ain't going to eat this sugar. Every kid's got something in them that they give, don't they? Dads, you're a bullseye. Fathers, men, you're a bullseye. You want to know why this stupid phone comes up and sends you all kinds of sex messages that you didn't do? Because somewhere along the line you signed up for a raffle with some company, or you actually just put your name down and they sold your information. And it comes up because it's called an algorithm, which simply means they take your information, they put it in a database, and they go, what do you like? I never sign up for those things anymore, but I did years ago. And they put it in a database, and then they sell it because it's money. And then you jump on it, and they go, oh, he's 55. He's a guy. He's been married for 34 years. I bet this is not a problem then. Boom. See, pastor's not, separated from, what's that? Thank you. Exempt. It's a good thing she had the right word, isn't it? Pastor's not exempt. You know what pastor does? I don't want to see this. I just don't want to see this CRAP anymore. It's more than that. I have to go in there and remove it from the algorithm. And I know I've learned how to do that because of my daughters. And you know what I do? I take and I show it to Dina and go, look at that. And she goes, huh. They know that you're a male, 55, and you've been married for a long time. And this is why this comes up. And I said, how do you get rid of that? And she showed me how to get rid of that. I said, I don't want to see that. So I took Facebook and all social media because Meta is not interested in you. Meta is interested in making $1. I don't care what Zuckerberg says. They're not interested in you. He's interested in making $1. You are the bullseye, not because that person who owns that company is Satan, but because the Spirit is there. Because that seed, Genesis chapter 3, your seed will fight his seed. You see? Your seed will fight his seed. The first created for the seed of God is what he fights. I asked Dina this the other day because I was doing a lot of writing. I said, how did I get here? She goes, like right now? No. How did I get here? Because I watch men look at me, and especially when we go overseas, especially here, and go, you're somebody I'm going to follow. I have pastors now that are part of our pastors group, and I had one or two of them say, I could trust you. That's why I came this way. How did I get here, Dina? I wasn't trying to say, hey, can you figure this out because I don't know. But I want to hear you throw some thoughts in here. And she said, well, your family had some issues, and you said, I don't want to do this. Oh, so there's parts of things that I don't want to do, and there's parts, and she said, there's things in your dad you wanted to do. Okay. There's things in your family you wanted to do. You kept those. You threw out the stuff that you didn't want to see done. Very good. Then you looked at other men who you thought were honorable men and said, I like that. How can I incorporate that into me? And even greater, you ask the Lord, because your example is not some other guy. Your example is Christ. What can I learn from you, Christ, through people and by myself, so that I can know not only how not to be targeted, but how to stand up and how to make my seed last? You watched others do certain things that you liked, and you watched other things that you just did the complete opposite. And that's how you created what I see as a dad and a husband and as a leader. I said, you're right. That's exactly right. But the first one I follow is Christ. When I didn't know how to follow Christ, I followed other men who were following Christ. That's Paul. Not many fathers do you have, not many teachers. So since you don't have them, follow me as I follow the Lord. Men, you want to stop being a bullseye? Start sharing who you are the right way. We have our grandkids over. I took my grandboys, the oldest two, Tyler and Judson, to Kansas with me this last week and went and did some work. And I made sure, I had some nephew over too. I said, this is your bed, and this is your bed. That's where I want to see you when you go to bed, and that's where I want to see you when you wake up. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. I went downstairs, took a shower, laid on the couch, fell asleep. 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear the bloop, bloop, bloop upstairs. Oh, man. I got up, went upstairs. They're laying there watching somebody play a video game. They're not playing a video game. They're watching people play a video game. Minecraft or whatever it was. I don't know what it was. And I'm like, what are y'all doing there? We're just watching a video, and they're all individually snugged up in their own blanket and sitting on the couch or on the floor. And I said, it's like the middle of the night. No, Papa, it's like 12:30. I said, give me the control. Boop, boop. 3:11. Good night, good night, good night. Yes, sir, yes, sir. They all jumped up and ran to their beds. And I said, this one's this one, this one's this one, this one's this one. And leave it alone, good night, shut the door, good night. And they said, yes, sir. I decided I wanted to wake them up at 5:30 when I got up. Let's go, boys. Stuff to do today. I let them sleep in until about 9. Set some standards in your life and follow them no matter who's with you. Tobias got up this morning and goes, I got to sleep with you, Papa. I said, well, yeah, sort of. Sort of. I'm completely dressed in pajamas and shorts and stuff, and I'm laying on one side with a cover, and you're kicking me in the back. That's about as much of sleeping we got to do. That's it. But you're right. You got to sleep with me. If you have standards, you don't get the foolishness. If you keep attentive to the standards, you don't get the foolishness that so easily has swept America. Titus chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. Look it up. Titus chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. This is how a church is supposed to be established. Older men who are honorable, who are respectful, who have God inside of them, who are following the Lord. That's what it says. I'll just reach over there and grab it, because it's right here. Speak the things which are proper and sound doctrine, he says. Chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. That older men be sober, reverent, temperate, sound in faith, in love, in patience. In patience. Do you know when patience actually comes in? Is when they've kicked their sister and they're screaming, and you're grabbing the son going, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to love you. You're going to sit down and not doing something foolish. Who are you teaching? Young men. Older men teach young men. And then it says the second one. It says women likewise, that they be reverent behavior, not slanderous, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they admonish young women. Women, how are you going to learn to be a good, godly woman? Look to women who already are. This is the example of the church, and this is where we strayed. We got all kinds of extra things that don't have anything to do with training up the next generation. And you wonder why the next generation's not there. Today, the battle over the family starts with father, dad, the male seed. You know why the transsexuals, the transgenders have a place? Because the seed is being challenged. You look at any society, there are more men trying to be women than women trying to be men. To kill the seed, to destroy the making wheel, the birth stool, the place of God. So fathers, we need you. Mentors, belt loop guys, we need you. Brothers, we need you. Number 4. Here's my place. I woke up probably right after I got back from Kenya, about a month ago. Right at a month ago, we got back from Kenya. And I was praying. Just woke up right out into prayer. And I do that quite regularly. And here's what I was praying. I was praying on my grandchildren. I was saying, Lord, I need your help here. I was praying over my children. Lord, I need your help here. I was praying over my granddaughters. Lord, I need your help here. I was praying over my daughters. Lord, I need your help here. I was praying over Dina. Lord, I need your help here. So what's wrong with Dina? Nothing. What's wrong with your grandkids? Nothing. What's wrong with your kids? Nothing. Here's what I was praying. 5 ways. The first thing I was praying was, Lord, give them health. Give them health spiritually, in their soul, and let their body respond to it. The second thing I was praying over my children was, Lord, keep them safe. Lord, I pray your safety over them. They will not be a statistic. They will not be kidnapped. They will not be taken. They will not be in an accident that takes them out. They will not be in a whirlwind. They will not be harmed. They will be safe throughout time. I pray that over my wife and myself. I pray that over my children and their husbands. I pray that over my grandkids, my sons and grandsons and granddaughters and daughters. The third thing I prayed over them, I prayed over their home. Father, I pray over unity over their home. Lord, let their dads be dads to them. Every single year, I take my son-in-laws fishing. Started that 5 years ago. I did that not just because I got a house in Kansas, I go fishing, and there's fishing all around it. I did it because I'm imparting into them. Because one day they're going to be me. And I didn't spend 18 years with each one of them. Going, this is what you got to watch out for. This is what you got to do. Here's how you got to go. But I am now. I pray for their homes that they get to be fathers and dads and husbands to my daughters. I pray for my daughters that they'll be mothers and they'll be moms and they'll be wives, good wives to their husbands. I pray for unity for their homes. The fourth thing I pray for on a regular basis, I pray for their calling. I was preaching a service not too long ago and God initiated my heart to say, some of you have forgot your calling. It was a packed out service. And I said, some of you forgot your calling. And if that's you, I want you to stand. I'm going to pray over you. And I had people standing up all over the place. And one guy I got to pray with personally, he said, I was 12 years old when God called me and I was too scared to do it. I said, you weren't too scared. The enemy pushed up against you and told you all the things that could happen. He said he did the same thing to me when I was 5 years old. And I said, I never want to be a minister because I'd have to go to Africa. Got past that finally, didn't I? It's honest to God truth. And I want to remind you, and I pray this over my boys and over my girls all the time, their calling is so important. I prayed that, and last month on Easter, Morgan and Ashley took a church as worship pastors again. You got to see, you must speak into your children. They don't know to speak it into themselves when they're young. The last one, I prayed over their provision. God, you want them to do a kingdom work, give them kingdom funds. Give them money to do this. That's what I woke up praying. I still do it regularly. That's what I pray. By the way, this is part of my family right here too. I pray the same thing over you. I pray that you catch that when you give, you're not giving to me, you're giving to the kingdom. I pray you catch when the calling is on you, it's not for me, it's for the kingdom. I pray that when you step up and you have unity in your family and you enjoy or you divert stupidity. It happens. You need to divert stupidity. It's not for me, it's for the kingdom. Yeah, it's for them and it's for the kingdom. And when you step up and you pray safety and healing and health over your family, it's the same way. Yeah.